Money changes people. That is a cliché for a reason because it is absolutely 100% true, but you know what else changes people? The expectation of money, the entitlement, the greed, the sheer unadulterated audacity to think you deserve something you didn't earn. That is what changes people into monsters. And my ex-wife Lisa, well, she turned into Godzilla the moment she thought she smelled cash. Unfortunately for her, she was sniffing up the wrong tree, or rather she was sniffing up a tree that she had already chopped down and set on fire. Let me explain, because this is a story about timing, patience, and the absolute best legal loophole I have ever exploited in my life. So picture this: it is a Tuesday night, raining miserable. I'm sitting in my car outside a convenience store scratching a lottery ticket I bought on a whim. I'm not a gambler, I work in IT, I deal with logic and code, not luck, but I had a spare 20 in my pocket and I thought, why not? I scratched the first number, nothing; second number, nothing; third number, match, $50 million. I stared at that ticket for so long the clerk probably thought I had died. I checked the numbers again and again and again. It was real. I had just won $50 million, life-changing money, retire on a yacht money, buy a private island money. Now most people in that moment would call their spouse screaming, jumping up and down, popping champagne, but I didn't. I sat there in the dark listening to the rain and I felt dread because I knew Lisa. I knew her better than she knew herself. Lisa was, let's be polite, high maintenance. She liked nice things, which is fine, but she also liked status. She liked being the envy of her friends. She liked spending money we didn't have to impress people. She didn't like we were drowning in credit card debt because of her lifestyle requirements. And our marriage was hanging by a thread. We slept in separate rooms. We barely spoke unless it was her complaining about my salary or my lack of ambition. If I told her right now that we won $50 million, she wouldn't see us. She would see her money. She would see the designer bags, the trips, the mansion, and I would just be the bank account attached to it. And if we divorced later, she would take half plus alimony plus whatever else she could wring out of me. So I made a decision right there in that Honda Civic that smelled like old French fries. I wasn't going to tell her, not yet. I was going to wait. I was going to see if our marriage could survive without the money first, because if she loved me she would stay even if we were broke, right? Yeah, I know I'm an idiot. Spoiler alert, she didn't stay. For the next 3 months I lived a double life. I went to work every day. I ate sandwich meat for lunch. I drove my beat-up car. I kept the winning ticket in a safety deposit box at a bank 2 towns over under a fake name. I hired a lawyer, a really good one named Saul, not the one from the show but close enough. Saul specialized in high net worth asset protection and lottery anonymity. He set up a blind trust for me, the Blue Horizon Trust, so that when I claimed the money my name wouldn't appear in the papers. It would just be the trust claiming it. Meanwhile at home things were getting worse. Lisa was distant, colder than usual. She was constantly on her phone smiling at texts that weren't from me. She started going to yoga retreats on weekends that mysteriously cost thousands of dollars. I didn't say anything. I just watched, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then it dropped on our anniversary. I came home early with flowers, trying to make an effort. Lisa was sitting at the kitchen table with a man I didn't recognize. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my car and he had a briefcase. Lisa didn't even look up when I walked in. Who is this? I asked, putting the flowers down. This is Mr. Henderson, she said, her voice flat. My lawyer. Lawyer? I laughed nervously. What do we need a lawyer for? You don't, she said, looking me dead in the eye. I do. I'm divorcing you, Julian. The words hung in the air like a bad smell. Divorcing me? On our anniversary? Why? I asked, honestly curious. Because I'm tired, Julian, she sighed. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of your mediocrity. I want more out of life, and you are never going to be able to give it to me. I met someone else. Someone with ambition. Someone who can take care of me the way I deserve. Someone with money, she meant. Okay, I said, calm. Surprisingly calm. So you want a divorce? Yes, she said, signaling the lawyer. And I want half. Half of the house, half of your retirement, half of your savings, everything. Plus alimony. Half of everything, I repeated. As of today, the lawyer chimed in, sliding a document across the table. This is a separation agreement. It stipulates the division of assets valued as of this date. It locks in the marital estate. Once you sign this, any future earnings or assets acquired by either party are separate property. My heart stopped. Did he just say what I thought he said? So, I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. If I sign this right now, our financial partnership ends today. Anything I make tomorrow or find on the street or win is mine. Correct? The lawyer said, looking bored. It is a clean break. That is what my client wants. I looked at Lisa. She was smirking. She thought she was screwing me. She thought she was taking me for everything I had, which wasn't much, to be honest. She wanted to lock in her share before she moved in with her new rich boyfriend. She wanted to make sure I couldn't touch her future potential if she married up. Okay, I said, picking up a pen. I'll sign. Lisa looked surprised. You aren't going to fight it. Why should I? I shrugged. You found someone better, right? Someone with ambition. I wouldn't want to hold you back. I signed the paper. Lisa signed it. The lawyer notarized it right there on the kitchen table. One more thing, I said, handing the paper back. Since we are doing a clean break, I want this divorce expedited. No long drawn-out court battles. We settle everything now. House sold, proceeds split 50/50ths. Debt split 50/50ths. And we are done in 30 days. Fine by me, Lisa said, standing up. I want to be free of you as soon as possible. She left that night to stay with her friend. I stayed in the house. I poured myself a glass of cheap whiskey and I toasted the empty room. Because Lisa had just signed away her claim to $50 million. The next 30 days were a blur. We sold the house quickly. I gave her half the equity, which was about 40 grand. I gave her half my meager 401k. I took on half the credit card debt. She was gloating the whole time, telling mutual friends how she took me to the cleaners, and how I was going to be living in a box. The divorce was finalized on a Friday. The judge stamped the decree dissolving the marriage. We were legally strangers. On Monday morning I walked into the Lottery Commission office with Saul, my lawyer. I handed over the ticket. I claimed the $50 million in the name of the Blue Horizon Trust. 2 weeks later the money hit my account. Or rather the trust's account. I didn't buy a Ferrari immediately. I didn't buy a mansion. I quit my job quietly, citing personal reasons. I paid off my half of the debt. I bought a nice but modest condo in the city. And I started planning my new life. But you know how small towns are. Rumors started flying. Someone from our town won the jackpot. Who was it? It was an anonymous trust. Then things got messy. I decided to treat myself to one nice thing. A car. I've always wanted a vintage Porsche, so I bought one. A 1980s 911 Turbo. Beautiful car. I drove it around town, enjoying the wind in my hair. One day I pulled up to a stoplight, and who pulls up next to me? Lisa. In the passenger seat of a BMW driven by some guy who looked like a thumb with sunglasses. She looked at the car. Then she looked at the driver. Then her jaw dropped. She rolled down her window. Julian, she screamed. Is that you? I looked over, lowered my sunglasses and smiled. Hey Lisa. Nice BMW. Whose car is that? She shrieked. Did you steal it? Nope, I said, popping the clutch as the light turned green. Paid cash. And I sped off, leaving her staring at my tailpipes. That night my phone blew up. Text messages from Lisa. How can you afford a Porsche? Did you rob a bank? We need to talk. I ignored them all. Blocked her number. But Lisa is like a termite, she doesn't stop until she destroys the foundation. She started digging. She heard the rumors about the lottery winner. She put 2 and 2 together. The timing. The trust. My sudden retirement. She sued me. Of course she did. She filed a motion to reopen the divorce settlement, claiming I had hidden assets. Claiming I had committed fraud by not disclosing the lottery ticket during the divorce. We went to court. It was the showdown of the century. Lisa walked in looking smug, thinking she had me. Her lawyer, the same guy from the kitchen table, looked confident. Your Honor, her lawyer said. Mr. Rivera won $50 million during the marriage and concealed it to defraud my client of her rightful share. My lawyer Saul stood up, slowly adjusting his tie. Your Honor, he said, that is factually incorrect. Mr. Rivera did purchase the ticket during the marriage. However, he pulled out the separation agreement, the one Lisa had been so eager to sign, the one her lawyer had drafted. According to this binding agreement signed by both parties and notarized on date, the marital estate was valued and frozen as of that date. Both parties agreed that any assets acquired or realized after that date were separate property. Furthermore, Clause 14 explicitly waives any future claims to assets not listed in the disclosure. The judge looked at the paper. Then he looked at Lisa's lawyer. Did you draft this, counselor? Yes, Your Honor, the lawyer stammered. But the ticket was purchased before the signing. But the winnings were claimed after, Saul countered. And under state law, a lottery ticket is a bearer instrument. Its value is not realized until it is claimed. Until he walked into that office, it was just a piece of paper worth $20. And since the separation agreement explicitly stated a clean break of all future income and windfalls, the judge nodded. He looked at Lisa. Ma'am, he said, you wanted a clean break. You wanted to protect your future assets from him. You signed a contract that cut ties completely. You cannot come back now just because he got lucky after you decided he wasn't good enough. Lisa started screaming. It's not fair. He tricked me. He knew. He didn't trick you, the judge said, banging his gavel. You divorced him. You wanted out. You got out. Case dismissed. Lisa collapsed in the aisle sobbing. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor. I just stood up, buttoned my jacket and walked out. Outside the courthouse Lisa caught up to me. Her mascara was running, her expensive dress looked rumpled. "Julian, please," she begged, grabbing my arm. "I made a mistake. I still love you. We can make this work. We can be a family again." I looked at her hand on my arm. Then I looked at her face. The same face that had looked at me with such contempt in our kitchen just a few months ago. "Lisa," I said, gently removing her hand, "you don't love me. You love the $50 million. And honestly, I don't blame you. It is a lot of money, but it is my money, and you are just the woman who thought I wasn't worth sticking around for." "But I'm struggling," she cried. "My boyfriend dumped me when he found out I wasn't getting more money from you. I have nothing." "That sounds like a you problem," I said. "Maybe you should find someone with ambition. I hear they are out there." I got into my Porsche and drove away. I spent the next year traveling. I went to Japan. I went to Iceland. I learned to surf in Bali. I met people who didn't know about the money, people who liked me for my terrible jokes and my obsession with 80s movies. I met a woman named Claire in a bookstore in London. We bonded over a first edition of 1984. I didn't tell her about the money for 6 months. When I finally did, she just laughed and said, "Well, that is nice, but it doesn't change the fact that you snore." That is when I knew she was the one. Lisa, I heard she tried to sue her own lawyer for malpractice. It didn't go well. She's working as a receptionist now, living in a small apartment, complaining to anyone who will listen about how her ex-husband stole her life. She still sends me letters sometimes asking for just $1 million to get back on her feet. I don't open them. I have a shredder. It is very therapeutic. So what is the lesson here? Don't be greedy. Sure, read the fine print, definitely, but mostly, be careful who you throw away, because you never know when the person you think is trash is actually holding a winning lottery ticket. And if you decide to leave, make sure you really want to leave, because once you sign that paper, there are no do-overs, no take-backs, and definitely no halfsies on $50 million. You know the funniest part about all of this? If Lisa had just been decent, if she had just come to me that night and said, "Julian, I'm unhappy, let's try to fix this," or even, "Julian, I want a divorce, but let's be fair," I probably would have given her some of it. I'm not a monster. If we had split amicably without the cheating and the "you are mediocre" speech, I might have tossed her a few million just for old time's sake. But she had to be cruel. She had to bring the lawyer. She had to try to crush me. And that cruelty, that is what cost her everything. Karma isn't always instant. Sometimes it waits until you sign a notarized document in your kitchen. And when it hits, oh boy does it hit hard. Claire and I got married last year. We had a small wedding. No prenup needed because Claire has her own money, and more importantly, she has her own integrity. We started a foundation with some of the winnings. We help fund art programs in schools. It feels good to do something real with the money instead of just buying stuff. I still drive the Porsche though. I mean, come on. I'm only human. Every now and then I drive past the convenience store where I bought the ticket. It is still there. Same flickering neon sign. Same clerk behind the counter. I stopped in once and gave the clerk a $10,000 tip. He almost fainted. I told him, "Thanks for the luck." He didn't recognize me, but he smiled. Life is weird, man. One minute you are eating sandwich meat in a Honda Civic, the next you are drinking vintage wine in a Tuscan villa. But the person you are, the core of you, that doesn't change. The money just amplifies it. It made Lisa more greedy. It made me more free. And freedom, my friends, is worth way more than $50 million. But having both, yeah, that is pretty sweet too. So to Lisa, wherever you are, thanks. Thanks for leaving. Thanks for the clean break. And thanks for signing that paper. It was the best gift you ever gave me. Enjoy your ambition. I'll enjoy my island. Okay, I didn't buy an island. That is a cliché. But I did buy a really nice boat. And I named it the Clean Break. Petty, maybe. But hey, I earned it. Now if you will excuse me, I have a date with my wife. We are going to eat tacos on the beach. And I'm going to pay for the extra guac. Because I can. And because, unlike Lisa, Claire knows that the best things in life aren't things. They are the people you share the guac with. Cheers.